Every morning when you look in the mirror, whose reflection do you truly see? Is it the authentic you, vibrant, peaceful, and full of purpose? Or do you see someone weighed down by the heavy chains of toxic relationships and draining situations that have slowly dimmed your inner light? As they shared how they'd spent 20 years trying to earn the love of a parent who saw them as nothing but a vessel for their own unfulfilled dreams. 20 years of shrinking themselves, of apologizing for their success, of dimming their light because it made someone else uncomfortable. 20 years of their precious life force being drained away, one criticism at a time, one manipulation at a time, one guilt trip at a time. They're not responsible for other people's happiness. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not obligated to maintain relationships that leave you feeling emotionally bankrupt. The universe has given you an internal guidance system, your emotions. When you feel contracted, drained, small, or anxious around certain people or in specific situations, that's not coincidence. That's your soul speaking to you in the only language it knows. Are you listening? Think about a plant trying to grow in toxic soil. No matter how much sunlight it receives, no matter how much water you provide, it will never truly thrive. Its energy will be consumed just trying to survive in an environment that's poisoning it from the roots up. What kind of soil are you planted in? You might be thinking, but they're family, or we've been friends for so long, or what will people say? These are the golden handcuffs that keep us chained to situations that steal our joy, that keep us performing in a circus that was never meant for us. Let me share something powerful with you. Every time you say yes to toxic people and situations, you're saying no to your own growth, your own peace, your own potential. Every moment you spend trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed is a moment you could have spent nurturing your own garden. The path to liberation begins with a simple yet profound understanding. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They allow you to control what comes in and what stays out of your life. They're not acts of aggression. They are acts of self-love. When you set boundaries, you're not pushing others away. You're drawing yourself closer to your authentic truth. Consider the ocean, fast, powerful, life-giving. Yet, even the ocean has boundaries. It knows exactly where to meet the shore. It doesn't apologize for not covering the entire earth. It doesn't feel guilty for not being accessible to those in the desert. It simply is. In all its magnificent completeness, you might be carrying guilt about wanting to distance yourself from toxic relationships. Society has programmed us to believe that loyalty means enduring abuse, that love means sacrificing ourselves, that family ties are unbreakable even when they're strangling us. But what if true loyalty begins with being loyal to your own well-being? What if real love includes loving yourself enough to walk away from what hurts you? Take a moment now to really feel into your body. Where do you feel tension when you think about certain relationships in your life? What physical sensations arise when you imagine the specific situations you regularly endure? Your body never lies. It's always telling you the truth about what's healthy for you and what's poisoning your spirit. Remember this? Toxic people will often label you as selfish when you stop being useful to them. They'll question your loyalty when you start being loyal to yourself. They'll call you changed when you refuse to be chained. These reactions are not a reflection of your worth. They're a reflection of their own unhealed wounds. We keep hoping toxic people will change. We keep believing that if we just love them enough, understand them enough, sacrifice enough, they'll finally see our worth and treat us differently. It's like trying to teach a fish to climb a tree. Not only is it impossible, but it's also cruel to both the fish and the one doing the teaching. The most profound act of self-love is often letting go of the responsibility to fix others, letting go of relationships that no longer serve your highest good, letting go of the guilt that keeps you tethered to toxic situations, letting go of the need to explain your boundaries to those who never respected them in the first place. As we begin this journey together, I want you to know that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's sacred. Your life force is precious, and you get to decide who and what has access to it. The pain of staying attached to toxic people and situations will always be greater than the pain of letting them go. In the coming moments, we're going to explore exactly how to detach with love, how to set boundaries without guilt, and how to rebuild your life on your own terms. But first, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you'll stay open to the possibility that you deserve better. Promise that you'll listen to that small voice inside that's been trying to guide you toward freedom. Promise that you'll be as kind to yourself as you've been to others. Because the truth is, the life you dream of, the one filled with peace, authentic connections, and joy, and it's waiting for you on the other side of letting go, are often masquerade as loyalty tests. If you really loved me, you would, after all I've done for you, family always sticks together. These are the invisible strings that puppet masters use to control your movements, to keep you dancing to their tune. But you weren't born to be anyone's puppet. You weren't put on this earth to live according to someone else's script. The price of admission to other people's drama is not worth the cost to your soul. Let's talk about the masks we wear. The smile that doesn't reach your eyes when you're around certain people. The careful words you choose to avoid triggering another explosion. The constant walking on eggshells. Each of these is a piece of your authenticity that you've sacrificed on the altar of keeping the peace. Peace at what price? When did we decide that peace meant silence in the face of disrespect? When did we convince ourselves that love requires us to be smaller, quieter, less ourselves? This hasn't where we stay too long in toxic situations. We start to believe we deserve them. Like a frog in slowly heating water, we don't realize we're being boiled alive by other people's toxicity until we're almost cooked. The slow poison of toxic relationships doesn't just affect our present. It infects our future by distorting our sense of what's normal, what's acceptable, what we deserve. Right now, you might be thinking of someone specific. Your heart might be racing. Your palms might be sweating. Your mind might be creating 1,000 reasons why you can't possibly distance yourself from this person or situation. But they need me. But what about their problems? But they don't mean to hurt me. Stop right there. Breathe with me for a moment. Your compassion is beautiful, but it's time to direct some of that compassion toward yourself. You cannot heal someone by allowing them to hurt you. You cannot love someone into loving them. You cannot give from an empty well. You don't need a reason to distance yourself from what feels toxic. You don't need to build a case. You don't need evidence. You don't need anyone's permission. Your feelings are reason enough. Think about how you treat your most precious possessions. You protect them. You keep them safe. You don't let just anyone handle them. Why should your energy, your peace, your joy be treated with any less care? The people who drain you will often accuse you of being dramatic when you try to protect yourself. They'll minimize your feelings, gaslight your experiences, question your memories. Remember this, people who benefit from your silence will never celebrate your voice. The somber is a powerful truth. The moment you start setting boundaries is the moment you'll discover who was really in your life for you and who was there for what they could take from you. Some people will leave your life angry because you stopped letting them take advantage. Let them go with grace. Your growth will trigger those who are stagnant. Your boundaries will upset those who benefited from you having none. Your self-love will threaten those who counted on your self-doubt. This is not your burden to carry. You selfish. It's trusting your intuition even when others question your judgment. It's allowing yourself to grow, even when that growth makes others uncomfortable. The path to freedom begins with small steps. You don't have to make dramatic announcements or burn bridges. Sometimes the most powerful changes happen quietly. Start by paying attention to how you feel around different people. Start noticing which interactions leave you energized and which leave you depleted. Your energy is your life force. It's the currency of your existence. Every interaction either deposits energy into your account or withdraws it. Some people are constant withdrawals, taking until you're emotionally bankrupt. It's time to close those accounts. You can love someone from a distance. You can forgive someone and still choose not to have them in your life. You can set boundaries without building walls. You can wish someone well and still say goodbye. As we continue this journey together, I want you to start imagining what your life could look like without the weight of toxic relationships. How much more energy would you have? What dreams would you pursue? What parts of yourself would finally have the space to bloom? The garden of your life is waiting to be tended. It's time to pull out the weeds that have been choking your growth. It's time to plant new seeds of possibility. It's time to become the master gardener of your own existence. Have you ever watched the sunrise after a long, dark night? That's what awaits you on the other side of detachment, a new dawn of possibilities. But first, we need to talk about the darkness before the dawn, the sacred space of transformation where you learn to stand in your own light. Many of us stay trapped in toxic situations because we've confused attachment with love, obligation with loyalty, guilt with responsibility. We've learned to normalize behaviors that should never be normal. We've trained ourselves to accept crumbs of affection and call it a feast. Take a moment and think about the conversations you have with yourself, the inner dialogue that plays on repeat when you're lying awake at night. How much of that voice isn't really yours? How many of those limiting beliefs were planted by others who needed you to stay small so they could feel big? The most insidious thing about toxic relationships is how they infect our self-talk. We begin to doubt our perceptions. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Perhaps I'm overreacting. It's probably all in my head. These thoughts are not your own. They're the echoes of gaslighting, the remnants of manipulation, the scars of emotional abuse. Let me share something powerful with you. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's your superpower, being able to feel deeply, to sense energy, to notice nuances in behavior and emotion. These are gifts. The people who tried to make you feel too sensitive were often just uncomfortable with their own lack of depth. Think about water for a moment. Water is soft, yielding, sensitive to every ripple, yet water carved the Grand Canyon. Water shapes continents. Water sustains all life. Your sensitivity, your depth, your emotional intelligence, these are not flaws to be fixed. They are powers to be embraced. We keep trying to heal while staying in the very environments that made us sick. It's like trying to heal a burn while keeping your hand in the fire. Sometimes healing requires distance. Sometimes love looks like walking away. You might be carrying shame about the relationships you need to release. Shame is toxic people's favorite weapon. They use it like a master archer, knowing exactly where to aim their arrows of guilt to keep you tethered to their drama. But shame cannot survive exposure to light. Shame cannot withstand the power of truth. Here's your truth. You are not responsible for other people's choices. You are not responsible for their happiness. You are not responsible for their growth. You are not responsible for their healing. The only person you're responsible for is yourself. Every time you allow toxic people to dump their emotional garbage in your space, you're teaching them that your boundaries are optional. Every time you accept behavior that makes your soul cringe, you're signing a contract for more of the same. Every time you silence your truth to keep their peace, you're telling the universe that your peace doesn't matter. But your peace does matter. Your joy matters. Your growth matters. Your dreams matter. You matter, not as an extension of someone else's needs, not as a supporting character in someone else's story, but as the protagonist of your own life. Let's talk about the void that appears when you begin to detach. That scary, empty space where relationships used to be. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so do humans. This is why many return to toxic situations. The familiar pain feels safer than the unfamiliar emptiness. But that void is sacred relationship. Think about the relationships in your life right now. Which ones feel like a breath of fresh air and which feel like drowning? Which ones inspire you to grow and which ones keep you trapped in old patterns? Which ones reflect your future? And which ones chain you to your past? The people who are meant to be in your life will support your growth, even when it makes them uncomfortable. They'll respect your boundaries, even when they don't understand them. They'll celebrate your joy, even when it outshines their own. Everyone else is just passing through, teaching you what you don't want in your life anymore. Start paying attention to your energy levels after interactions. Keep an emotional energy journal. Notice who fills your cup and who drains it. Notice which situations energize you and which deplete you. Your body is always telling you the truth. Start listening. Toxic people will often use your past against you. They'll remind you of who you used to be to discourage you from becoming who you're meant to be. They'll try to keep you small by reciting your old mistakes like a broken record. But you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You're not the story others tell about you. You are a constant state of becoming. Every moment is a new chance to choose differently. Every breath is an opportunity to align with your truth. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you're still here, still growing, still evolving. The journey of detachment is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about becoming so filled with self-love that you naturally move away from anything that doesn't match that frequency. It's about raising your standards so high that toxic people can't reach. It's about becoming so aligned with your truth that manipulation has no effect on you. As we continue to explore this path together, I want you to start imagining your life as a sacred space. Who gets to enter? What energy do you want to cultivate? What boundaries need to be set? What dreams need to be protected? You are the guardian of your peace. Start acting like it. When you walk into a room, do you fill it with your presence or do you apologize for the space you occupy? In the process of detaching from toxic relationships, we often discover that we've been living in the shadows of others' expectations, dimming our light to make them comfortable. Let's talk about reclaiming your power. Not the kind of power that needs to dominate others, but the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are and standing firmly in that truth. The kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself because it simply radiates from within. Your journey of detachment is also a journey of remembering. Remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. Before you learned to shrink. Before you started apologizing for your strength, your beauty, your intelligence, your success. Think about a time when you felt completely free to be yourself. Maybe it was when you were a child. Before you learned to edit your words, monitor your actions, contain your joy. That freedom wasn't just an absence of restrictions, it was your natural state of being. That's your true north. That's what we're working our way back to. It's not just about letting go of toxic people. It's about letting go of the toxic beliefs you internalized because of them. It's about unlearning the lies that kept you bound. It's about challenging for having needs. Guilt boxes they tried to keep you in. But here's the liberating truth. You don't have to accept the identity others have created. You can hand back these roles that never belonged to you in the first place. I ain't about the stories you tell about yourself. How many of these stories were written by others? How many limitations have you accepted as truth simply because someone else declared them so? It's time to become the author of your own narrative. Your healing journey might trigger others. Your boundaries might upset them. Your growth might make them uncomfortable. Let me tell you something revolutionary. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their reaction to your healing is part of their journey, not yours. When you start setting boundaries, some people will act as if you've declared war. Remember this? Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of truth. Your truth. Your boundaries aren't weapons. They're shields. They don't exist to hurt others. They exist to protect your peace. Here's what real love looks like. It encourages your growth. It celebrates your success. It respects your boundaries. It speaks truth with compassion. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't use guilt as currency. It doesn't require you to compromise your values or shrink your dreams. The people who are meant to be in your life will meet you at your boundaries with respect, not resentment. They'll see your standards as a sign of self-respect, not a personal attack. They'll understand that your need for space isn't a rejection of them. It's a connection to yourself. Start paying attention to the subtle ways your body communicates with you. That tension in your shoulders before certain meetings. That knot in your stomach when you check your messages. That heaviness in your chest around certain people. Your body is speaking your truth even when your words can't. Here's a powerful truth. I'd have to earn the right to remove yourself from toxic situations. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't require justification to choose yourself. Your well-being is reason enough. The path of detachment will test you. There will be days when loneliness feels heavier than toxic companionship. Days when the familiar pain seems easier than unfamiliar growth. Days when you question every decision. These moments aren't signs of weakness. They're opportunities to strengthen your commitment to yourself. Every time you choose yourself, you're building trust with the most important person in your life, you. Every time you honor your boundaries, you're showing yourself that your words have meaning. Every time you walk away from what hurts you, you're proving to yourself that you're worth protecting. Your capacity to love doesn't diminish when you set boundaries. It deepens. Your ability to care doesn't decrease when you practice the discernment. It becomes more authentic. Your light doesn't dim when you distance yourself from toxicity. But the same power that holds the planets in orbit lives within you. The same force that turns seeds into forests flows through you. The same wisdom that guides the stars guides you. Trust it. Don't listen to it. Honor it. The universe will keep bringing you the same lessons, packaged in different people and situations, until you learn what you need to learn. What patterns keep showing up in your life? What type of people do you keep attracting? What situations do you keep finding yourself in? These aren't coincidences. They're curriculum. You're not just changing your relationships. You're changing your relationship with yourself. You're not just setting boundaries with others. You're removing the boundaries you placed on your own potential. You're not just detaching from toxic people. You're attaching to your own power. As the sun rises on your new chapter, remember this moment? The moment you decided that your peace was non-negotiable. The moment you realized that walking away from what drains you is walking toward what fills you. The moment you understood that detachment isn't an end, it's a beginning. Let's talk about the sacred art of rebuilding. When you remove toxic influences from your life, you create space for magic to enter. But first, you must become comfortable with emptiness. Learn to sit with the silence. Learn to trust the void. Learn to believe in what you cannot yet see. Think about a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't apologize for growing. It doesn't feel guilty for leaving behind what no longer fits. It doesn't try to squeeze back into its old self. Nature teaches us that growth requires release. Every ending creates space for a new beginning. Your transformation will be tested. The old patterns will try to reclaim you. The familiar discomfort will call to you like a siren song. This is when you must remember your worth isn't up for negotiation. Your peace isn't available for compromise. These are your people. This is your tribe. Your energy is currency in the spiritual marketplace. Every interaction is an energy exchange. Start asking yourself, is this a worthy investment of my energy? Does this relationship provide equal value? Am I depleting myself to fill others? Your energy belongs first to your own growth, your own dreams, your own healing. Let's talk about forgiveness again. Not the kind that excuses toxic behavior, but the kind that frees you from carrying the weight of other people's dysfunction. Forgiveness is understanding that hurt people, but healing people have a choice. You have a choice. The path forward isn't about becoming someone new. It's about unbecoming everything that never was you. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, the masks of survival, the armor you wore to protect yourself. Underneath all of that is your true self waiting to be rediscovered. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness to be overcome. It's a gift to be cherished. Your ability to feel deeply means you can love deeply. Your capacity for pain means you have an equal capacity for joy. Your awareness of energy means you can create environments that nurture rather than drain you. Start treating your presence as a gift because it is. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, your wisdom, your light. Not everyone has earned the right to your vulnerability, your trust, your truth. Being selective about who you let into your life is an elitist. It's essential. The same strength that got you through your darkest nights lives within you still. The same courage that helped you survive your deepest pain is still there. The same wisdom that led you to this moment of transformation continues to guide you. Trust it. Trust yourself. Your journey of detachment is also a journey of attachment. Attaching to your worth, your truth, your power. Attaching to people who reflect your values, not just echo your wounds. Attaching to dreams that expand you, not shrink you. Attaching to a vision of life that excites you, not just comforts you. Think about who you're becoming. How does this version of you walk through the world? How does this version of you speak to yourself? How does this version of you choose relationships? Let these questions guide your choices, your boundaries, your transformations. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your relationships, starting with your relationship with yourself. When you raise your standards for how you treat yourself, you automatically raise your standards for how others treat you. When you honor your own boundaries, you teach others to do the same. Your healing journey isn't just about moving away from what hurts. It's about moving toward what heals. It's about creating spaces that nurture your growth, relationships that mirror your worth, experiences that expand your joy. It's about building a life that doesn't require numbing or escape. As you continue on this path, remember that every step away from toxic relationships is a step toward your destiny. Every boundary you set is an act of self-love. Every time you choose your peace over others' comfort, you're voting for your future. You're not just creating boundaries, you're creating legacy. You're showing others what's possible when you choose yourself. You're demonstrating what love looks like when it's not tangled with manipulation. You're proving that peace is possible when you stop accepting chaos as normal. Your story isn't over. This moment of transformation isn't the end. It's a portal to everything you've been dreaming of. The relationships you deserve, the peace you crave, the joy that's your birthright. They're all waiting on the other side of your decision to no longer accept what doesn't honor your soul. The time has come to release the weight of relationships that no longer serve your highest good, to step fully into your power, to create connections that celebrate rather than diminish you, to build a life so beautiful that you don't need to escape. You are not asking for too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too demanding. You are simply awakening to your worth, and that awakening will naturally filter out everything and everyone that doesn't align with who you're becoming. This is your moment, your transformation, your rebirth. The universe is conspiring in your favor, orchestrating everything you need to become who you're meant to be. Trust the journey. Trust your heart. Trust your truth. Your new life is calling. Answer it.